It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels.
Hey, good evening. Hello, good evening, everybody. How are you all? Give me a shout in the chat. You can hear me okay. I would appreciate that. Cool. Since I don't think there's anything else crazy to get started. You guys have been having a serious talk, though, before I got on here. Carter, good evening. Mike, times 2 mics. Jason, AFOC, EXO. I saw Sellers in the chat as well saying, are you ready to hear about some tanks? We'll probably be talking about tanks. Spoiler. Sanguinius' love child is painting an executioner. I mean, yeah, paint your tanks. That's literally what I was doing. I was painting the Ballistus Dreadnought last night, if you missed it. I'm going to give the Ballistus Dreadnought a run out this week. I'm not entirely sure if I feel like he's going to be any good, but yeah, good evening, good evening. 3 Michaels in the chat. Good evening, Miles. How are you? Raoul as well. Guys, if you enjoyed tonight's stream, remember, hit the like button. Doesn't matter if you do it at the start or the end or at some point during the middle. I do appreciate it regardless. Okay, we're looking at 4 army lists, and it's tough to it's tough for me to review these super objectively because I am running purely tanks, like so many tanks. I'm running Gladiatus Detachment as well because I think it's stronger personally. Maybe you think Sons of Sanguinius and jump pack units work for you. Did I order another Gladiator yet? I didn't. I'm going to do it on payday next month probably. I do think having 2 Gladiators will be good. So yeah, next month I'm going to have another Gladiator. So let's start with the first list. This was by Thorno de Gil. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but thanks for submitting the list. So we're going to see how this plays. He's running Astaroth, Dante, a Primaris Librarian, a Primaris Tech Marine, and a Sanguinar. So a lot of characters, and a lot of points invested in characters. I was going to say the games that I've won, my character points have been very low, but we have seen some Blood Angels player do good luck finding one for less than $300. Are they that? I was going to say, are they that hard to get? Gladiator Lancers? Or just Gladiators in general, right? Like, I was going to say, if there's $300, maybe you could order one from the UK and it'd probably be cheaper. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I guess Element Games doesn't have them in stock, but I'm sure there's going to be somewhere in the UK that has these in stock. Is it that bad to get one? I mean, there's so many resellers in the UK. Zatu, Firestorm Games. I was going to say, there's got to be stock coming soon. In stock? Alright, the second one I looked at, Hobby Workshop, has in stock. 1 in stock. Okay, so, I mean, in the UK, they're definitely in stock. 3 in stock. Okay, yeah. They're not quite as bad as it is to get in the US, but, I mean, I think they're very, very good Gladiators at the moment, so it makes sense. We've got 1 squad of Intercessors. We have 2 Brutalis Dreadnoughts. We have 5 Death Company with Thunderhammers. I've talked about this Death Company before. I don't like Death Company with Thunderhammers anymore. I think they should have Infernal Pistols and Power Fists. You get less attack. Sorry, you get the same number of attacks with a Power Fist and you get the Thunderhammer, but you get 1 less on your weapon skill. And I think it does hurt you. If you ever come up into a -1 damage or a -1 to hit enemy, your Thunderhammers suddenly become very, even with full rerolls, their hit chance just plummets. So I don't like Thunderhammers on Death Company anymore. My thought would just be to just run the models and just tell your opponent they're Power Fist and Infernal Pistols. This is a 10-man Desolation squad. I think these guys went up in points. So maybe this list was submitted just before the points increase. We've got a Gladiator Valiant in there as well. We've got 10 Vanguard veterans with jump packs, all with storm shields and heirloom weapons. And we've got the Whirlwind. I'm not going to worry about the points going up or the points changing a little bit. What I'm going to worry about is like the synergy in the list. And I think if you want to run Desolation Marines, I think the best way to run them is with what's it called? It's the Bolter Discipline from Bolter. The best way to run Desolation Marines, in my opinion, is using Bolter Discipline from the enhancement. So use it on Adept as a starter's model. While the bearer is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models have sustained hits 1. In addition, when the bearer's unit is under the effect of Devastator Doctrine, each time this model makes a ranged attack, a successful unmodified roll of 5+ scores the critical hit. So what that means is Desolation Marines in Devastator Doctrine on 5s. Every 5 is an additional hit. And I guess if you use like Oath of Moment on the target for the Desolation Marines, then that's like 33% additional hits. When you've got like a bunch of crack missiles and a bunch of indirect fire, it's really nice. I mean, that's why Desolation Marines went up in points, right? Double Brutalis. I feel like the Brutalis is too expensive at the moment. 220 points, toughness 10, 12 wounds. I think it's going to be very difficult to get a Brutalis across the table. If the opponent has a couple of Gladiator Lancers, they're just going to blow your Brutalises off the table before they get halfway across. Makes it very worrying for me to try and run. It makes it very worrying to try and run the Brutalis. I think someone mentioned there. Did I miss that in the chat? Someone was saying with an Apothecary. Yeah, well, if you take the Apothecary, you get lethal hits as well, right? So if you do take that Apothecary, you can attach a Librarian to give your Desolation Marines an invulnerable save. But I was going to say, how is it you give them? I forget now. There's a way to give them lethal hits as well, is there not? You don't do that with the Apothecary? Or maybe it's a different Apothecary? There's a way to add lethal hits. How do you add lethal hits to Desolation Marines? I kind of moved away from Desolation Marines when they went up to 340 points. I played them a couple of times into like knights with like toughness 12 and 13 knights, and they weren't that effective, and I don't know if I like the squad as much at 340 points. You need the lieutenant? Okay. Yeah, so I think that the Brutalises are worrying. I have a Brutalis, but it's brand new on the sprue. I can't find the motivation to build it because I don't think it will get across the table. I think it will get killed before it gets near the enemy. I think the Valiant looks okay on paper. It's got strength 10 multi-meltas. The last cannon is also strength 10. But I think for me it feels like maybe the Valiant is not effective. Is not as effective at armor, and I think the reason you take the Gladiator at the moment is to kill armor. So I don't think the Valiant's a bad tank. I really don't. Because what do you get? You get like the Twin Laws, which is 2 shots, 3 up, strength 10 minus 3d6 plus 1, and then the multi-meltas on the Valiants, and you've got 2 multi-melta on each sponson. So you would actually get 4 multi-melta shots, strength 10 minus 4d6 damage each time this attack makes with its Twin Laws against the closest eligible monster or vehicle. You add 1 to the hit. So you're always hitting with the multi-meltas on 3s. But they are literally the only strength 10 multi-meltas that Space Marines get. So I guess a Valiant could be good against weaker armor, but if you're trying to punch into like And I think this is why people take Lancers, is because the Lancer just lets you take out your opponent's armor. And I actually want to run a couple of Valiants, but I'm not 100% sold on them. The 10-man Vanguard veterans with jump packs. And I guess he'd probably be attaching them to Dante. As long as you use Red Thirst every turn, they're maybe okay. But I don't... I haven't even made the Brutalis Mike. I can't bring myself to make it because I don't think it's ever going to actually end up in melee combat. Jay Henderson said it was a tough game to get against Tyranids, was not prepared for 80 regenerating Termagants. Dropped my Desolations down to a 5-man with Bolter Discipline, didn't cut the mustard. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to attach a character to the Desolation, Jay, I think you need to keep the 10-man squad, but I mean, it's super expensive at that point, like 420 points. You have to hide them super well. Yeah, the Vanguard veterans only being strength 5 against strength 6 on the charge is a little bit worrying. I mean, you've got to play, like, you need to play Red Rampage every time the Vanguard veterans make a charge almost. Which at that point, I wonder if you're just better taking a captain over Dante, because the captain will give you that free Red Rampage every turn. It'll also give you potentially a free fight on death, a potentially free heroic intervention. I think Dante's kind of... I just don't think he's as good as a captain, and he's 35 points more. My personal opinion. I guess you guys can have your own opinion on him. I haven't been running the Sandgunner either. I think the Sandgunner is a brilliant character if you want to kill infantry. But I think most people I'm fighting against are not bringing any infantry anymore. Infantry are disappearing from everybody's lists. It's more and more armor that is appearing in everyone's list because armor is just the be-all and end-all. The Valiant is to get closer when shooting, says James. I think there's if you have like multiple toughness 10 vehicles, and I guess in this list you do have 3, the 2 Brutalises and the Valiant, you're just gonna move on up into try and dominate the middle of the board. It's not bad. I mean, I've been doing it with like a Repulsor and a couple of Predators and a Lancer and a couple of Vindicators. Like, it's okay to have shorter ranged armor. Like, it is okay to have that. Because I've been running the Vindicators, I've been running them like 2 games in a row, and I think they're brilliant. And they only have 24-inch range, right? Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like in this list, because you've got the 2 close combat Dreadnoughts, I'd probably swap this out for the Lancer. I'd probably drop Dante for a regular captain. Astaroth attaching to Death Company here, I don't think is all that useful. Death Company don't get that many attacks. Astaroth can give them devastating wounds. If you had Death Company with Infernal Pistols and Power Fists, then Astaroth might make some sense. But Astaroth's main ability is he can give Death Company devastating wounds, while all these Thunderhammers already have devastating wounds. I know it sucks, man. I just literally finished building, like, I think I built 10, finished building, painting, and varnishing 10 Thunderhammer Death Company to find that they are actually useless now, and you want Death Company with Infernal Pistols and Power Fists. I think I'm proxying mine if I can, and if I'm not allowed to proxy them, I guess I'm probably not running them. I never liked 4-up fight on death mechanics. We used to have that for the Sanguinary Ancient banner. I always thought it was kind of low impact. If it was me, I'd probably just run a regular Firstborn Chaplain here for 15 points less and just give the Death Company +1 to wound all the time from having the Chaplain. Yeah, you're not doing WYSIWYG. Good, I'm not going to try and do WYSIWYG now. So, let me know how you get on if you do run double Brutalis. The melee Dreadnought, to me, seem like they're going to be a tough play. The only one I think I'm going to try is the Death Company one, because I can start it in Strategic Reserve and try and make that 7-inch charge into enemy armor, which I think is, if I've got command point reroll, that's actually a pretty high probability. It's like 81% charge. Raoul says there's looking forward to seeing how GW will handle the armor meta. I think they need to put either the points on all the infantry need to come down like 20%, Raoul, or the points on all armor need to go up 20%. The differentiation between strength and toughness is too wide at the moment for the points that you pay. You know, if you think about like, I guess last edition armor was not tough enough, so now they've made it tough, but they've gone too far the other way. Because I remember last edition, like toughness 9 stuff was generally very difficult to deal with. There wasn't that much toughness 9 in the game, but like a Lehman Russ was toughness 9. I think there was it like the Spartan tank that was toughness 9? There was a few toughness 9 things, and toughness 9 stuff last edition was pretty difficult to deal with. Well, they went one step further and put a bunch of stuff on toughness 12 and toughness 13. So I think they could have probably got away with just like, they could have put like bog standard tanks on toughness 9 and big tanks on toughness 10, and then I don't think armor would have been quite so prevalent. But I guess because they put even like bog standard cheap things on toughness 9 or 10, then they've kind of opened this disparity gap that needs to be fixed somehow. I don't know, somehow. Yeah, so my thought right now is I don't think Dante is probably worth it. I'm not sure I think Astroth's worth it. If you're fighting into a lot of infantry, I think Sanguinar's worth it. If you're not, I'd probably avoid him as well. So, yeah, I'm not running any of these characters. Again, all 3 of these characters will kill infantry. They will do very little or nothing against armor unless you use Oath of Moment. And I think it's kind of difficult to rely on Oath of Moment, right? You can only Oath of Moment 1 target per turn. So it's all well and good to say, oh, well, you know, jump units can do good damage if they Oath of Moment. Yeah, but that's only 1 unit on the entire table that can do that, or there's only 1 enemy that can be targeted by that. Whereas last edition, our jump units could do good damage. Everyone that's charging did good damage because of Red Thirst. The issue is they nerfed the number of attacks we get, and they killed hammers by making it damage too. You're probably not that far off, Michael, because losing the damage 3 on the Thunderhammers, and I think Thunderhammer, like the devastating wounds doesn't really add much at all for me. I think the damage, the loss of damage 3 seems much more impactful than being able to get a couple of mortals out of the Thunderhammers. And I mean, arguably you could get mortals out of the Thunderhammers last edition by just using Hammer of Wrath when you charged, right? Miguel says that the Vindicator Tactical Warsuit should be able to tank shot things pretty well. I guess I hadn't really considered the Tactical Warsuit for tank shock. I think if you're going to tank shock, you want it on something with like a strength 12 fist, which I guess is the Tactical Warsuit. Tactical Warsuits aren't the cheapest though, right? I actually don't know have the costs. Do I have the costs in front of me? Maybe points costs. I think the Tactical Warsuit was like 160 points. Tactical Warsuit is 160 points. Do I think the Tactical Warsuit is worth 160 points? I felt like last edition they were too costly. So they get an 8-inch pre-game move. They have toughness 8, 12 wounds. I think their ability is rubbish because people just won't shoot the Phobos next to them. Like, why would you shoot the Phobos next to them if it means that this Dreadnought can shoot back at you? You just won't do it. So I think their ability is actually rubbish. What's it armed with? A Fragstorm grenade launcher. D6 strength 401. A heavy bolter. Okay. An incendium cannon, which is like your flamer, right? D6 plus 3, 6 minus 1, 1 damage. And an Iron Tail twin heavy stubber. And then the fist. Yeah, I mean, it's not horrific. I wonder if I think it's trying to be too many things, right? It's trying to do a little bit of like fire support. And then it's trying to do a little bit of melee combat, and I think the reality is, I think David just said, it just gets killed. Yeah, that's probably, like, I think if you want to do, like, fire support with flamers, run a Battle Predator with the main cannon, you got more range, you got better overwatch potential, you got advance and shoot your flamer weapons. If you want to run something in melee, with this sort of profile, strength 14 minus 2, 3 damage, look at, like, a Death Company Dreadnought, think that's our best option for melee right now. Probably the Death Company Dreadnought. Okay. By the way, everyone that's got a green name in the chat, thank you so much for your support, guys. I really do appreciate it. Remember, with your green names, you get free super chat. All you need to do is under the chat box, you click the icon that looks like $1, and you can send a free super chat. You don't need to pay anything. You get that as a privilege for being a green name in chat. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to look at Mac Perry's list, and anyone that wants to submit a list for next week, what you want to do is just after the stream ends, in the comment section for this video, please just dump your list that you want me to look at next week. The strength 9. It doesn't have a strength 9 stubber, does it? Surely not. Did I miss that? No, it doesn't. I have a look. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Okay, so Mac Perry's list. He says this is what he's going to be trying out. So he's trying the Chaplain and Terminator armor. The Chaplain and Terminator armor with the Honor V amount gives him +2. This is a Gladiators list. He's going to get +2 attacks and +2. Sorry, yeah, +2 attacks and +2 strength on his weapon. While he's in the Assault Doctrine, +1 on when he's not in Assault Doctrine. But the reason to include the Chaplain and Terminator armor was if attached to a squad of Terminators. Let me close this because I got too many tabs open and it's distracting me. If the Chaplain and Terminator armor attaches to a squad of Terminators, models of this unit have a 4-up, feel no pain against mortal wounds. Tom White, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it, dude. And obviously you get +1 to wound as well. So it's 2 pretty big buffs on Terminators. One of the things Terminators are weak against is potential mortals. And one thing that they are also probably going to struggle with is wounding high toughness enemies. So the Chaplain makes a lot of sense, assuming he's got a Terminator squad. I kind of hope he's got a 10-man Terminator squad just to make this an interesting list, but we'll see. We got the Ball Predator in there with the Flamestorm Cannon. I've been thinking about this. I think the Flamestorm and double Heavy Bolter is the way to run the Ball Predator. The Heavy Flamers are fine, but short range, just strength 5 -1/1 damage. I think you're better running 2 Heavy Bolters in there. Obviously, you get the Hunter Killer Storm Bolter. We get the 2 Death Company, 155 points, 5 Infernals, Power Fist. This is good. We got 2 Gladiator Lancers. This looks like this is going to be a pretty metal list. Alright, cool. We're going to see a strong list here, potentially. 2 Gladiator Lancers. We got the Incursors. Remember, anything that the Incursors shoot, get +1 to hit, so that can make those Gladiator Lancers hit on 2s. Could make your Land Raider hit on 2s. Land Raiders typically are a little bit unreliable with their shooting, so making them hit on 2s is good. It's the autocannon on the Tactical Warsuit is better. Do you know what? I never really... I don't know why. I think for me, the Tactical Warsuits just don't feel strong. They've never felt strong. Never actually... This is one of the few Primaris models I haven't bought. What's the autocannon? Strength 9, -1, 3 damage. But it's only 3 shots. So, you're probably going to miss one. So you only make a couple of saves. I don't know. I just don't like the Tactical Warsuits, man. If you like them and you get power out of them, James, go for it. I don't like them. I have proxied a couple of Redemptors as them a couple of times, and they just never performed for me. So if I proxy a model a couple of times, it never performs. Typically, I just don't buy the model, I guess. Alright, we got Land Raider there. We got the Land Speeder. Unfortunately, that is going to be Legends very, very soon. We got Librarian Dreadnought. We have the Sniper Scouts ×2. Unfortunately, they are going to be Legends very soon, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, Sniper Scouts could have been very good for holding objectives. It's very sad to see them go. Maybe they'll be replaced with Primaris Snipers. We got 5 Terminators with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. I'm not sure I love the Thunderhammer choice on Terminators yet. Let me tell you why in just a second. We get the Whirlwind, and then we get the Voidsman at Arms. I do actually like Voidsman at Arms a lot. They're just a very simple squad that can perform actions. Very, very cheap. These guys are OC2. Nothing really matters, but it might matter in some OC2 at just 8 points per model. They are just toughness 3 with a 4-up save, no invan. But you can do a lot worse than sneak in a squad of Voidsmen at Arms. in the new edition, they're very good at scoring points. They were good at scoring points last edition as well. Okay, so your sniper scouts, I guess your Death Company are probably, some of them will probably be inside a Land Raider. I was going to say, yeah, let me have a look at the Terminators for 1 second, because Terminators with Thunderhammers, the advantage to taking Terminators or Assault Terminators is you get plus 1 wound, so you get wounds 4 by having the Thunderhammer. Your Thunderhammer is 3 attacks, weapon skill 4 up, 8 minus 2, right? 3 attacks, 4 up. Remember that. Where's a regular Terminator squad? Right below it. So if you take a regular Terminator squad, they both get the ability to teleport Homer. The regular squad gets Fury of the Fur. Right. This squad gets, at the end of this unit's charge move, make the enemies with engagement take a battle shot test. I feel like that is worthless, personally. Or very, very low value. I give it like a 2 out of 10 for Terminus Assault. Whereas like Fury of the First, I'll probably give like a 6 out of 10. Each time this model makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to attack's ballistic skill or weapon skill modifiers to the hit roll. In addition, each time this model makes an attack against the target that you selected for Oath of Moment, add 1 to the hit roll. So if you Oath of Moment, like a knight, for example, then when these Terminators arrive from Deep Strike, their bolters, their crack missiles, whatever, will hit on 2s. I guess Oath of Moment, any target. And then when you hit them in combat, they'll also hit on 2s. So if you imagine Power Fists being 3 up, so, 1 better than the Thunderhammers, then potentially the Power Fists can do more damage here. Yes, the Thunderhammers could have a couple of devastating wounds. So against like 2 damage weapons, if you're fighting an enemy with a lot of 2 damage weapons, then obviously you would need to fail 2 saves, with these guys being 3 wounds, same as you would need to fail 2 saves with the Terminators with Storm Shields. So for me, it's like, yeah, I guess they could kill your Terminators with 3 damage weapons. I mean, that will happen. But they will also kill Terminators with 2 damage weapons. That will happen as well. Would I rather have a gun and either a Power Fist or a Chain Fist? The Chain Fist actually hits on the same 4 up that the Thunderhammer hits on, and can get improved from Fury of the First, and gets anti-vehicle 3+. I think if I had to choose, because I have both these squads, Terminators with Chain Fists and Terminators with Storm Shields and Thunderhammers, and in 9th edition I ran both squads. Like, I went to GTs with the Chain Fist ones, and I went to GTs with Close Combat ones. I think where I stand at the moment is I think it's better. I think the guys with the new ones, the guys with guns, I think they're better. I'd probably equip mine with Chain Fists, personally, just because I think it gives you that anti-vehicle 3 up. Whereas like your Thunderhammers would wound certain vehicles on 5s unless you're playing Red Thirst. It means that you wouldn't have to waste stratagems on these guys either. So, and especially if you're using that in your Oath of Moment target, then anti-vehicle 3 up means you're wounding on 3s with rerolls. Vehicles are super prominent at the moment. James says he'd probably take Chain Fists over Thunderhammers. Yeah, I feel a little bit sad. It's like the Thunderhammer profile in 10th edition just really isn't good. I really don't rate it at all. Like I just don't rate it at all. I don't think, like last edition, I always used to make people take like 10 plus Thunderhammers. I used to say if you don't run 10 plus Thunderhammers, your Blood Angels list will really struggle into -1 damage enemies, or your Blood Angels list will really get neutered into certain armies in combat that have like, Death Guard were a big problem with their -1 damage army wide, or if you're fighting maybe Eldar with Wraithblades, you definitely want a Death Company with Thunderhammers. Now I just don't think Thunderhammers just, they're almost meaningless to me. Like I feel like I'm not running any. I think if you have 3 damage weaponry in melee, that's great, but you're not going to get 3 damage weaponry from Terminators. You're not going to get it from Sangre Guard. You're not going to get it from Death Company. The only way you're getting like 3 damage in melee is, Gabriel Seth, which no one runs, or Dreadnoughts, right? Which I guess some people do run. Cameron says he took Blood Angels to an RTT yesterday and went 2-3, placing 6 overall. Really happy. Cameron, leave your list in the video description. Maybe we'll get it up on the channel next week. Assault Centurions. Yes, good point. Assault Centurions have strength 10 and 3 damage. They're very, very expensive. 3 guys is 175 points. I think that's more than they were last edition. I think they were 165. I guess you get free. You get the bolters built in, or the option of melta guns built in now. But I don't think it's important. I think personally, I would take the Chain Fist Terminators over the Thunderhammer ones. Yes, Carter, you're right. The Storm Shield gives you more survivability in some situations, but I think the damage output that you give up, and also the fact you would then have to actually start using stratagems on the squad, actually makes it worse. So I think personally I would just... I would run... If I'm going to run Terminators, I'm going to run the shooting ones, because I can't see much strength in the Thunderhammer ones at all. Jenderson says I run relics with chain fists and a captain with a hammer. Yeah, I mean, I'd put a hammer on the captain. Yeah, sure. I'd put a hammer and a shield on the captain. I don't mind that at all. I actually think you're probably fine just putting a hammer and a combi weapon on the captain, so you can maybe do a mortal wound or something like that. I actually don't know what weapons a Terminator captain can take, but you could take the captain, or the other option would be to take the chaplain. I think the chaplain adds more survivability. The free Rapid Ingress is nice than the normal ones. It certainly is, Benno. I just think it's hard to use Rapid Ingress well with a 10-man squad, because it's hard. 4 wounds is nice to sit on objectives. It is, unless you're fighting an enemy with tons of 2 damage weaponry, and then 4 wounds is no better than 3 wounds, right? So I guess you just have to look at it like that. I feel like I very rarely get killed by 1 damage weaponry. I feel like I get killed by 3 damage weaponry a bit more often, because like at the moment a lot of people are running autocannons and stuff. So you could argue there's a bit more value in those Storm Shields right now because of like the autocannon 3 damage meta, whatever you want to call it. But I think if I was going to run Terminators now, I think I'm taking the shooting ones with Chain Fists, just because, Thunderhammers used to wound on 2s into just about everything in the game with Blood Angels, because you used to be strength 8 with +1 to wound. So like even toughness 8 you wounded on 3s. Now you could be in a situation where Thunderhammers wound on 5 and you don't have any weight of fire with them. So I just don't know if I... And yeah, I mean, I guess you could pay a strat on them, so you wound on 4s, but you'd still be better off just taking the shooting ones with the Chain Fists and using your Oath of Moment to get +1 to hit as well. I ran a 10-man Terminator squad with Chain Fists, and I just thought, like, the problem with Terminators is they're slow. So I don't know if I like 10-man Terminators. They're too slow for my liking. It's funny how Terminators only move 1 inch less than Blade Guard, but I feel like they're so slow when you compare them. But then I suppose you could, if you're running Gladiator's attachment, you can advance and charge with Terminators. And I've only tried that once. And I mean, I guess when I used it, my Terminators did move pretty far. The cool thing about having a captain though attached to the Terminators is you could go into Assault Doctrine every turn for free, right? You could use the stratagem. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Tactical Flexibility, right? Or if it's not called Tactical Flexibility, it's something like that. Adaptive Strategy. So you could use Adaptive Strategy every turn on your captain for free. You could just keep selecting your Assault Doctrine. You could keep putting your Terminators into Assault Doctrine every turn, and then they could just advance and charge every turn, and maybe that makes up for the fact they're slow. But I feel like I was going to probably... I mean, maybe that's how you need to play the Thunderhammer Terminators. Because the thing is, if you're advancing, you're not shooting their Stormbolters, right? Because Stormbolters don't have the Assault keyword. I actually don't know what keywords a Stormbolter has, because I haven't really run them. But I'm assuming they don't have the Assault keyword. No, so Stormbolters have nothing like that. So yeah, I guess if you're going to run Terminators with shields, I feel like you might be better just running them in the Gladiator's attachment, attached to a character, a captain, so you can just keep putting them into Assault Doctrine every turn, keep advancing and charging the whole game, and you know, get around the board as much as you can. You could Wings of Sanguinius them. You could. The issue I have with Wings of Sanguinius is they then need to make a 9-inch charge, Morgo. And 9-inch charge, even with a reroll, is not as good as 50. Is not a 50% chance. So like, the way I see a 9-inch charge with a reroll is literally like, if you're familiar with a Hail Mary in American football, that is a Hail Mary, because the opponent actually has a higher chance of you failing the charge than you have, right? So, yeah, and I guess your librarian also needs to cast the power on a 2-up, so he fails 1 in 6 chance as well. So there's a 1 in 6 chance that he casts, and then I think it's like a 48% chance that you make the charge. It's just very risky. Like, the only time you want to be making a 9-inch charge in a tournament is if you're in like turn 3, right? You've got a squad of Terminators in reserve, and you think to yourself, I'm going to lose this game unless I make this 9-inch charge and take out, I don't know, let's say you're playing like Imperial Guard and they had a Manticore in the backfield or something, and it's just sitting on their home objective. It's killing your guys every turn. You can't get near the Manticore. If you don't kill the Manticore, you lose the game. That's the only time you want to try a 9-inch charge. You know, like, you generally want to stick away from them 100%. Like, we have 8-inch charge from Deep Strike last edition, because we always got +1 to our charge when we made the charge roll. The amount of times I would fail 8-inch charges in Deep Strike is crazy, and that was a 66% chance. I don't think I ever was even close to odds on that. Like, that felt more like a 50-50, honestly. So 9-inch charge sucks so bad. Yeah, Brian's right. I've also seen, I've seen an orc player call his WAG and have to make about 6 9-inch charges across the board. And I think when you call your WAG, you can re-roll your charges for free. And I'm pretty sure I've seen an orc player fail every single one. So it was like 6 9-inch charges with re-rolls. Like, it's just not a reliable charge. Like, just stay away from it if you can, unless you're desperate to try and kill something. The Terminator Librarian gives exploding hits on 6s, which is probably better than the Terminator Captain's ability of re-rolling a charge. The Captain's real strength, though, is the free stratagem, right? Like, the re-roll charge is fine, it saves you a CP, so technically that Terminator Captain saves you 2 CP every turn. Because, he has Rites of Battle as well. I have to check this now, because I think I've run a Terminator Captain just once. Oh, it's going to be Captain and Terminator Armor, is it? And, yeah, I mean, the reroll charge is fine. Yeah, do you know what? The fact that he has a reroll charge built in, then that's the way, like, if you want to play a Terminator Captain, you want to play Storm Shield Terminators, that's the way to do them. Probably Rapid Ingress them, and then go into the Assault Doctor and advance and charge all over the board. Maybe that works. I'm just not a huge fan of the Thunderhammer profile, honestly. Like, I just don't know if it's that good. Okay, this is a 2,000 point Sons of Sanguinius list by Nicholas Matello, I think. So he's the chaplain who has Icon of the Angel. He has a chaplain with a jump pack. He has Lamartez. It's important to note that chaplain with a jump pack, I think, can take a Power Fist as well if you wanted him to. Small, but could be important. We have a Battle Predator. We have 10 Death Company Marines, 5 Plasma Missiles, 5 Power Fists, 5 Thunderhammers. We've talked about this before. The better option would be to Infernal Pistol and Power Fist. We've got another 10 of those. Oh, these are 10 Death Company on foot. These are 10 Death Company with jump pack. This is 5 Death Company with Thunderhammers of jump packs. We've got a squad of Eradicators. We've got Gladiator Lancer. We've got a squad of Inceptors. We've got Land Raider Redeemer. I guess that's where your 10 Foot Slug and Death Company are going to be. You've got your Striped Snipers. You've got your Whirlwind. And what do we have? You've got a Chaplain, so he'll be with the Foot Slogging Death Company. You've got the Chaplain with a Jump Pack with a Jumping Death Company. You've got Lamartez, potentially with one of the other... He's with the 10 Death Company. Yep. You've got the Inceptors and Deep Strike to attack like a weakly defended objective. Did he go for... He went for the Assault Bolters on the Inceptors. I think that's cool. I think the Assault Bolters are better. He's going to try and get into melee and smash. He's got Overwatch potentially from the Ball Predator. Again, I think the Ball Predator is probably better with heavy bolt responses over heavy flamers. He's also got obviously the Redeemer, so it can shoot its double flamestorm cannons, which is strength 6 -1 damage. Unfortunately, I think the twin assault cannon is a garbage weapon now. Just absolutely garbage. Like there's no value in this. It's messed up because like the flamestorm cannon on the Ball Predator is way the hell better than the twin assault cannon now. The twin assault cannon is supposed to be all about like peppering infantry. It doesn't do it at all. It's absolute garbage. If you can avoid taking twin assault cannons, I would, I guess. I think like it does 1 mortal wound. Probably the enemy needs to make 1 save on no EP and 1 mortal wound. Like if you think there's value in that, take it. But I really don't see any value in it at all. Depending on enemy vehicles, we might deep strike eradicators and replace them suppressors to give an enemy -1 to hit. Eradicators don't really kill armor anymore. Even though they get like full hit and wound rerolls, they really struggled to do anything against armor when I used them. I was really unimpressed by the Eradicators. I even attached the Apothecary Biologist to them and tried to give them like the auto wounds from Bolter Discipline, and I really didn't like it. Obviously, this list has the Whirlwind and the Scout Snipers. The Scout Snipers are going to go away. But yeah, I think I have had 0 success playing this level of infantry. Like, what is this? This is like 25 melee infantry, Eradicators and Scepters. I guess they're Gravis, so they're slightly more survival. I've tried 10-man squads of infantry. They usually get mopped up by blast against the people that I'm playing against. I don't know how to put it. Like if you're in a meta where you can win games by running 10 jump death company or 10 units of infantry, go for it, I guess. But like in the meta that I'm playing in, 10 units of infantry are going to get mowed down in like 1 turn by a knight or by a couple of indirect fire units. I just have had 0 success running them. Even against Sisters of Battle, I put down a 10-man assault squad with rapid ingress, and when it was my turn, all 10 were already dead. I put them down in cover and played Armor of Contempt on them, I think. So they basically were ignoring 2 AP. I still lost all 10. Lost all 10 in 1 turn. These units to me are very, very... I don't even know if I want to say high skill to play. I think they're just difficult to play right now because you don't have the flexibility that you used to have, right? You used to be able to kill a unit with these and then consolidate into cover or something like that. You can't make consolidation moves now if there's no one you can consolidate into or onto an objective. So it's much more difficult, and it's also much more difficult to get 10 units into combat now because of the new like base to base rules as well. So like I made a deep strike charge with my assault squad a couple of weeks ago when like 3 or 4 of the models couldn't fight, whereas maybe last edition all of them could have fought. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say that this is a great list. I feel like 1 Gladiator Lancer is not enough. I mean, the Ball Predator I think is okay. I actually kind of like the Ball Predator. But I think that if 1 Gladiator Lancer is your only real anti-tank solution, because your Redeemer is not going to kill tanks, you're going to rely heavily on these Death Company if they can get to the enemy tanks to kill them. I think until they maybe change indirect fire, I don't know if that's totally feasible. It would be interesting actually to work out how many Death Company, even with Lamartas attached, that like a squad of Eradicators could. Sorry, what are the rocket guys called again? Desolation Marines. I wonder if Desolation Marines can whop up a whole squad of 10 Death Company from 36 inches in direct. A few people are saying Eradicators really disappointed them. 10-man squad seemed to die so easily. I ran a 10-man squad last week, and I'm cutting them to 5 for this week's game. I just didn't like them. They died so quickly. It's really difficult to get the 10-man squad into combat, like I said. And what I'm finding, I suppose, is... yeah, they're super susceptible to blast. There's just so many negatives on the 10-man squad. It makes me think that you're supposed... like, you attach the character, like you pay 135 points to attach Lamartus to the Death Company. You think, I've attached him to 10-man squad, so I'm getting a lot of bonuses out of that. That I've got -1 damage on all 10 Death Company, but then you've got this big massive unit that can be... it's easy for the opponents to see. It's difficult to get into combat. If you do get into combat and kill something, then you're going to be left pretty exposed. I thought originally I liked Lamartus a lot. I think now, having done some maths last week, I think like anytime Lamartus makes a charge with the Death Company into a tougher target, and I think a tougher target would be like anything probably T7 and up. You have to pay Red Thirst anyway, or Red Rampage anyway. You can't rely on the lethal hits only that Lamartus gives. So at that point, the lethal hits becomes kind of worthless because you need +1 to wound. So at that point, I'm like, is Lamartus even worth 50 points for -1 damage? 9th edition, the game is too complicated. 10th edition, bring back 9th edition. I actually think 10th might be a bit more complicated, Carter, because there's a lot of intricacies with the keywords, and it's hard to know exactly. Yeah, James is saying take a normal chaplain over Lamartus. So I've ran 10 with Lamartus. I've ran 10 with a normal jump chaplain. I think going forward, I'm going to run the jump chaplain because you already get so little CP, I feel like. And you need your CP to keep units alive because everything's dying so friggin' fast. So the normal chaplain gives you +1 to wound. It's baked in. You don't need to pay any CP for it. So arguably, by the second the Death Company get targeted, you might be better just being able to play Armor of Contempt on them than -1 damage. You certainly would be if you're getting targeted by 1 damage weapons. You know, -1 damage is a really weird rule because obviously it interacts with some weaponry pretty usefully and then other weaponry not at all. And yeah, I mean, I'm actually at the point where like I don't think I rate any of the Blood Angels characters that highly. Like, the one that I thought was best was Tycho, and now that he can't join anything, then I don't rate him at all. Astaroth I don't think is super powerful at all, because fight on death on a 4-up is just random. We can fight on death anyway for CP if you wanted to do that. Lamartus -1 damage is useful in some situations, but his lethal hits, well, you still need to play Red Rampage. Dante means that you don't have very much strength, and you've got to pay CP. And then Mephiston can't attach to anyone useful, so it's like none of the Blood Angels characters stand out as me as like auto picks. Well, the only one that really stands out with a very cool, unique set of mechanics that could be very strong is the Sanguinar, but the Sanguinar is not going to get play until armor becomes less prevalent, because you can't do anything against armor. Like, if you come up against a knight army, the Sanguinar does nothing for you, except maybe stand on an objective in the backfield and not be shot. But that's 160 points for that is kind of... You're probably going to lose the game just because you're wasting that many points. So, yeah, in this list, I don't like 10-man infantry squads. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about Blade Guard. I think Blade Guard are probably the most viable infantry to use right now. If you want to be using them, you can attach them to captains and characters, and you can keep them low sizes for blast. So I think if I was gonna recommend you look at infantry, it would be Blade Guard, which is a little bit sad because I think my list this week maybe has 5 Death Company in it. I would have to check. But by Librarian and Terminator Armor, I think the Captain or the Chaplain are the better options. Let me see if I put Death Company in my list for this week. So maybe I think I maybe put in 5 Death Company with jump packs. But I don't think I would go as far as doing 10. Yeah, so I did a regular Chaplain, and I did 5 Death Company with jump packs, all Infernal Pistols, all Power Fists. And that's pretty much the only jump unit that I have. And my other, I was going to say, I think I have one other infantry unit in my list, and it's the Squad of Blade Guard. I Centurions. All right, I got like Centurions because I've got a repulsor, so my Centurions are going to ride around in a repulsor, and they're the only 3 damage melee option that we have, right? So yeah, that's where I'm standing. I hope we get more options on the Codex drop. I hope they think long and hard about our Codex, because our rules right now are all over the place. Do I have any Razorbacks? They synergize very, very well with Devastator squads, which can give your assault units covering fire. You know what? I don't have any Razorbacks. What's their special? In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select one enemy unit that scored 1 or more hit against its phase until the end of the phase. Each time unit model that disembarks from your transport this turn makes an attack against that enemy unit, you can reroll the wounds. So it's the exact same roll. This is the exact same rule as the Sisters of Battle Immolator tanks get. So that's cool. I like that. I guess you've got twin las cannon on the top. What else guns does it have? It's just got a twin las cannon. I guess you could put a twin heavy bolter. Probably a storm bolter and a hunter killer missile. So after this model slot, one enemy is scored 1 or more hit against this phase. Alright, so you don't have to wound or anything. You just need to score a hit against them. Alright, well, you're going to score a hit. Probably you've got your las cannon and your storm bolter. And I guess you could shoot the hunter killer missile. So you can probably score a hit. Yeah, I mean, the Razorback is... you're right, it does synergize. It didn't go into Legends yet, the Razorback. But here's the kicker, Nicholas. I feel like it's super risky to buy a Razorback. Like, I am not buying any more Firstborn stuff. Like, I think that within the next, if not 11th edition, then 12th edition, because, like, if you think they removed quite a few Firstborn things in the last edition, they removed more this edition, I think it's just gonna step up. I'm not willing to spend money on units that are not gonna be here long term. And the sad thing is they could have kept all this stuff. They could have, in the future, down the line, had a Primaris Razorback. Yeah, maybe if you're willing to pick one up, painted on eBay or something nice and cheap, but some people might start selling their Firstborn stuff as well because they're scared that it's going to go and be removed. I'm certainly scared, and I'm not willing to put any more money into models that are most likely going to get removed. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you've got... I was going to say, like, maybe if you've got las cannon Devastator squads, because the thing about multi-malta Devastator squads is I don't think multi-malta Devastator squads are that good anymore because the strength on the multi-maltas are too low. So, like, you're probably kind of limited to las cannon Devastator squads. I mean, I guess you could go grav cannons. You would have anti-vehicle 2+, you would re-roll your wounds. I think you possibly want just las cannons. I guess your choice, yeah. I mean, grav Devastators in Razorbacks might be... They'll be wounding very, very reliably, I guess. If you can hit their target with a squad of Incursors, you can get +1 to hit, so potentially you hit on 3s. That's probably your best way of dealing with armor, just like weight of fire at -1 AP. Maybe we need to do a video where we compare like 4 guys with las cannons against 4 guys with grav cannons into like a knight, toughness 12 knight, and see based with armor saves. I could do that. I could work that out. Yeah. I mean, it's a cool idea. I'm just not willing to buy Razorbacks at the moment because I'm scared that they'll I'm scared that they'll be removed at some point, and then I'll have wasted my money again. I've lost a lot of money in this last little while because of all this Legends nonsense, honestly. And I'm already upset about it, so I don't want to do anything else that's gonna. As they remove more Firstborn stuff, I'm going to be more upset. I don't want to be even more upset, guys. Good evening, Highland Phoenix. Nice to see you. We are going to look at your list next. Someone just sold. James just sold all of his Firstborn stuff to 30k players. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Brian says Warhammer is too expensive for your models no longer be widely playable. I mean, I'm probably more annoyed, Brian, personally, about the time, because I spent hundreds of hours on models that have no play anymore, and I don't play Legends. When models go into Legends, I just don't run them anymore. I'm interested in having lists that will be competitive that I can take to tournaments. So the money sucks, but the time is for me is it's hard. I can't get the time back, and I spent hundreds of hours on painting these models and something. James says I'm worried about Sanctuary Guard and Death Company. Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about those as well, James. It's a very real possibility that they could become. If they become Legends, I'm going to have nothing left. I'll have lost like 3/4 of my army in like 3 years. I mean, I won't quit because I have the YouTube channel and stuff like that, and I'll still be here, and I've got a lot of pile of glory. But like, some people will quit the game. Like, if you just told them like, "Hey, 3/4 of your army you can't play anymore," people will quit the like. I feel like some people have probably quit already. There's been a lot of pretty bitter people. It's crazy how much stuff people lost already. Like for a whole edition or even 2 editions, it was almost known that like Forge World Dreadnoughts were the cool thing that you needed. You needed a couple of Leviathans, you needed a couple of Contemptors, and then like Blood Angels, well, you wanted, everybody said you need attack bikes, you want multiple squads of attack bikes, all this sort of stuff, and it's just all Legends. It's just all Legends. Okay, Highland Phoenix says this list might be a little bit older, so he's calling out that it might not be a good one, a good list, but we'll look at it anyway. Okay, so this is a Gladiator Task Force man after my own heart. He's running a bike chaplain with Bolter Discipline, a bike squad, 6-man, Thunderhammers, Meltaguns, Chainswords, attack bikes, and multi-melta. Really interesting, actually. Highland Phoenix was also going to be running multiple command squads, but I guess they're gone now as well. This is a cool squad, actually. So basically, Bolter Discipline giving you critical hits on all the shooting out of the bike squad. I mean, I don't dislike it. You got the captain with the jump pack. You got the Sanguinary Priest with the jump pack, and then you got the 10 Vanguard veterans with some storm shields, infernal pistols, and heirloom weapons. I've played this myself a few times. I just think it's too expensive, and I've lost the whole squad in like a turn, which makes me think it's. I don't like 10-man infantry squads. I really don't. I think the infantry used to be really good when you could customize them to the right number. Like 7 was obviously the number of Sanguinary Guard we needed. When you can't customize them, you make them susceptible to blast, and you can't get all of them into combat, so I just don't like them. You got the Chaplain with Jump Pack, and you've got the 5-man Death Company. That's literally the squad I'm running right now, Highland, so at least we've got that in common. You've got the Scouts with an Infernal Pistol, Thunderhammer, Heavy Bolter, and you've got Landspeeder Storm. I guess the Landspeeder Storm's going Legends as well, so that... Do you know what? I almost bought Landspeeder Storm. Everybody told me to run one last edition. Is the Sanguinary Priest even worth taking now? I mean, he gets a 5-up Feel No Pain for the unit he's attached to, and he gives a whole unit plus 1 AP. Like, on paper, those are quite nice. But I guess you create this giant death ball where you've got like a 480-point infantry squad at that point, and they're not really that survivable because they're just... I don't know what... Like, it's 10 guys with storm shields? But like, I lost them so quick when I used them. They said this edition was less lethal. It really doesn't feel that way. You got the Chaplain in Terminator armor, and then you got the 5 relic Terminators with combi bolters or autocannon grenade harness. That's cool. You got the Whirlwind. You got the Gladiator Reaper. I don't know why on earth you would run a Reaper anymore. You probably already removed that Helen Phoenix, but yeah, you just want to run the Lancers now. Here's the kicker for everybody like me that's buying another Lancer. Just be aware that I think Gladiator Lancers will go up 20 or 30% in points cost. If not in the next balance patch, in one of the other ones shortly thereafter. I can't imagine them staying at the points that they're at. So I would be wary about buying too many Lancers. But I am buying a second one. The only silver lining there is it's a Primaris model, so at least it's not going to be retired for a little while, right? We've got Intercessors with a Power Fist and a Grenade Launcher. We've got Incursors with a Haywire Mine. I actually like the Incursors with a Haywire Mine now. I think it's cool they can use the mine offensively. And then you've got the Scouts with the Snipers. I think this list is probably too much infantry and not enough armor, to be honest. I think we can say that probably about a lot of Blood Angels lists at the moment. What other points are people saying in chat? Magnets are your friend. Yeah, Mike's right. Magnets are like your biggest friend, especially if you're buying gladiators. I was actually trying to think about, like, should I try a Repulsor Executioner? Has anyone in chat tried an Executioner this edition? Did they like it? Do they think it's worth it? If you've tried it, have you put units inside the Executioner? Is there anything worth it inside? Clunky says I have a second Impulsor that I rescued from eBay. I plan converting it into a Gladiator. Cool, nice. What are you going to do for the turret then? Because I've got an Impulsor. That could be interesting. Legends is truly the most corporate maneuver GW could enforce. Basically, if you don't buy the latest releases in current Marine range, then you can't use older models in tournament. It's a paywall. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a unit or two going into Legends. I could probably be okay with, like... I could probably be okay with every... Like, last edition, I'm trying to think back, one of the models they definitely put into Legends last edition was a Chaplain on a bike, because we got the Primaris Chaplain on a bike. So he 100% went into Legends. I feel like there was more than just him. Someone in chat can probably tell us who else was who else went into Legends in 9th edition. But I know the Chaplain on a bike was one of them because we got the Primaris Chaplain on a bike. I don't have a problem with them putting a few models into Legends. I literally had no problem with them. It's when they put, like... I was going to say, like... I haven't even made a list of what I have that is in Legends. But I could probably make a list. Probably making a list would make me upset. Because it would be how much stuff I'm going into Legends. Just on, like, the Forge World side, I lost 2 super heavy tanks. I lost 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I lost Leviathan Dreadnought, a Terrax Siege Drill, a Vindicator Laser Destroyer. I'm trying to think what else I have in Forge World, but just that alone is like, you know, all those tanks. The 2 super heavies, well, that's like £300-400. A Leviathan and 2 Contemptors. I don't know, another £200. A Terrax and Vindicator Laser Destroyer, another £150. You know, so you're like £850, and I'm sure there's something else in Forge World I'm not remembering. But you know, just in the Forge World, it's like the best part of £1,000 lost. Like Legends a few things, but not like £1,000. That's not even including the common things. Like, I've got 3 attack bikes, I've got 2 land speeders, I've got 25 scouts. You know, you start adding it all up. Like, Legends a few things, guys, but don't Legends like £2,000 worth of people's armies. Like, come on. It would be cool if the entire Firstborn catalogue into yeah, I mean, I think that's the writing is on the wall, Carter. The entire Firstborn list, everything that is Firstborn is going into Legends at some point. So buy Firstborn at your own risk is where I'm sitting with it now. I lost my Forge World Dreads too. I was really, really sad. Didn't play for a week, but then sold them to our 30 crane group and moved on. I mean, I'm glad that you managed to find some closure. I won't sell mine because I spent far too long painting them. But I don't know what I'm like. They're just gonna sit in a box forever. It's like a sad day for them, I guess. Clunky says I want a Land Raider too, but now I'm scared. See that's the thing. Like you can't even draw a line. You can't even draw a line in the sand where it's like this stuff's safe to buy and this stuff is not safe to buy. Like Mike says that he thinks the Land Raider is pretty safe. Yeah, but for how many years, Mike? 3 years? 6 years? Like for me, this is a long-term hobby investment. Like I don't know if I'm buying. Like if you tell me my model is only good for 5 years, I'm not even sure if I'm buying it. Like it needs to be good forever. You know, it's the same as like buying a video game, I feel like. If I buy the video game and 6 months down the line they say you can't play the video game anymore, I'm like, well, why? I paid the money, right? I don't know. I'm going to be bitter on that for a long time, I feel like. So I've taken my Scout Snipers and turned them into Eliminators. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you can convert models into Primaris stuff, then that's the best way to go for it. And if Sangreguard get Primaris Sangreguard at this point, I'm not buying Primaris Sangreguard. I'm going to convert my current ones, because I'm not gonna buy 30 more Sangreguard or convert all of them. Like I'm just not doing it. Yeah. I'm gonna make a video in the near future that talks about like the things that I think are safest to buy. So like working out like what the best Primaris stuff is right now and what is safest to buy. I'm not gonna get rid of any mold stuff. I guess I'm just gonna put it on the back burner. But yeah, it's fairly annoying. And it definitely like has impacted my thoughts for like building or finishing more. Like I have 2 Land Raiders. Neither of them are finished. Have I got motivation to finish them now, or am I just going to paint a Primaris thing? Because I feel like the Primaris thing at least is not going to go into Legends, where the Land Raider could. Primaris is probably safe forever. It's safe for a while at least. Yeah. Mark says his resin printer is waiting. Yeah, I don't do 3D printing, but maybe one day. I don't have room in my house, man. I got way too much junk in my house. Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably going to struggle for 10th edition competitive at the moment. Like, you need a bunch of tanks. And I think that's probably what is annoying Blood Angels players the most, is like, well, you know, there's a balance slate coming at some point. I think that Games Workshop are probably aware that armor is too good. How they fix that is beyond me, honestly, because I don't think they're gonna want like 3 years of armor just be super dominant, but I could be wrong here. Yeah. I think that if you are going to proxy Firstborn as Primaris, just ask your TO. I think most people will be okay with it. I feel like if I'm going to a tournament and I ask the TO, hey, I'm going to proxy this unit of 10 Sangreguard as 10 Primaris Sangreguard, and they say no, you're not, then I guess I'm not gonna go. Basically, like they've wiped out for me multiple years of painting, because I only paint 1,500 points a model a year, give or take. So I just lost like 2 years plus of painting. The only reason I'm still able to field arguably somewhat competitive lists is because I've been doing this hobby for like 20 years. On player place terrain, I bought 390 points of armor and went 5 and 3. Well done, Brian. I mean, player place terrain helped a lot, I feel like. I suppose it also depends on how meta things are, because you know, I played a few weeks ago against Imperial Guard where they had like 10 indirect fire weapons, and that was just like stupid meta. So I suppose it depends on how meta people are being at tournaments, but I feel like where I play, someone's always trying to bring the most OP stuff. It always happens. Yeah, I'd like to get back to like a more positive army show, along with like more stable lists that we can make sense of and we can win games with. I think 10th edition needs like a pretty serious balance slate. There's always that guy. Yeah, I mean that guy just literally has to be playing Eldar or GSC at the moment, I guess. But okay. Yeah, I mean I'd like to get back to being more positive. I'd like to get back to I'd like to get back to like knowing what a competitive list looks like and not just spamming armor. But at the moment, I think that like spamming armor is the best. Andrew was playing Sisters of Battle and he was spamming armor, Carter. He also spammed armor as Imperial Guard. And yeah, I mean everybody's just spamming armor. Taking a little bit of infantry, a sprinkling of infantry, and then spamming armor. What about the Red Templars? I think Black Templars work best with probably like Crusader squads or the Sword Brethren. I think the reason that Black Templars are really good like is the Sword Brethren can get damage 3, right? Tanks are dreads are a little bit too expensive though, Carter. That's another problem. Is like tanks are just so cheap compared to dreadnoughts. It doesn't really make any sense. If I was buying new kits for Primaris for longevity, probably like a Gladiator, probably Blade Guard, probably the Storm Speeder, possibly a Repulsor, Inceptors, Incursors. Like there is a decent number of Primaris kits that we like. Yeah, Inceptors, Incursors, Blade Guard, Storm Speeders, Gladiators. I'll make a video toaster on the best kits to pick up as Primaris kits because I really don't want to get burned again, man. Because I've gone from someone who's like super happy to buy every new release because that's where I was before, right? Like every new release that came out, I would buy it. I bought the Indomitus box, I bought the Shadow Spear box, I bought the Strike Force Augustus box, I bought every new release. Even if I didn't use all the models, there's so many of those models that are still on sprues. I would buy every single new release. And now I've gone to a point where like I'm just angry because a bunch of the stuff that I bought years ago is no longer viable. And I don't know why I'm so angry, but I just am. Because I put time and effort into all of it. So I've gone from someone who will buy every new release to like someone that's just like feeling bitter still about it. And I can't. If I could switch off my emotions, I would, but I can't. I can't switch them off. Can't be like, like. And like I said, I wouldn't like. This picture here is a good example. I had 2 captains on the bike, right? I would not have any problem if they'd gone, you know what, the captain on the bike is a really old model. We're going to do a Primaris captain on a bike this edition. I'd have been like, cool, that's fair. I've had that captain on the bike for many a years, and I'm happy to get a new updated Primaris kit for him. Cool, happy with that. But I've had no issue with that. What I do have an issue with is like, hey, those 25 models that you have multiple kits of, all built and fully painted, you can't use any of them. Like I'm just I'll get unbitter at some point. It's just not happening. And Redemptor Dread is 225 points and Executioner is 230 points. Yeah, which is the Redemptor makes no sense at 225 points because the Executioner will one-shot it. If you have like if you Oath of Moment that Redemptor, you'll one-shot it from 72 inches away and it won't even get to roll a save, right? Yeah, I don't understand why the dreadnoughts are so expensive compared to the tanks. Because I think maybe I wouldn't be so upset if I felt like I could run my dreadnoughts, but I feel like I can't run my dreadnoughts because they're all so expensive at the moment. And Blood Angels are quite a big dreadnought chapter, right? Like I have a lot of dreadnoughts, even with losing the Forge World dreadnoughts. I still have quite a lot of dreadnoughts. Will we do a Grotz tier list soon? I mean, we were going to do the Blood Angels tier list. Like, we're ready to do the tier list as soon as the game is balanced. I just don't think it's balanced. Like I said, yeah, I mean, like, why would a Redemptor be 200? Like, a Redemptor is... Well, it's a weird one, right? A Redemptor was an anti-vehicle as an anti-vehicle tank. It's been an anti-vehicle dreadnought. Like, it was an anti-vehicle dreadnought. Most people took Redemptors to take the plasma cannon to kill armor because it was strength 9. It pretty much wounded all armor on 3s. Well, now it's plasma cannon doesn't wound anything armor-wise unless 5s. And now it's like 225 points. So it doesn't kill anything, and it's way too expensive. So you just take a Gladiator Lancer for like 140 points. Andrew says that we should give the consumer the choice. Because Andrew, I think you're right. I mean, that's what I was trying to say. Like, I will buy, while I am happy, I will buy every new release. I was going to say it's like the same as like my broadband or something. If I'm happy with my broadband, I'm happy to just keep renewing it every month over month, and never look at the cost. If it works 100% of the time, perfect. When your broadband stops working, you're like, oh, well, let me phone around and see if this is the best deal, right? And it's kind of the same thing. Like, I was happy when I was happy, and that's the messed up thing. Like, I literally think that I ran in the last year, maybe even longer than a year, maybe 18 months, I ran my super heavy tank once. And I want to say I last ran my Leviathan Dreadnought. You remember when the Judiciar used to have a 6-inch temper mortise and they reduced it to 3 inches? That was the last time I ran my Leviathan Dreadnought, because I used to run the Judiciar right behind the Leviathan Dreadnought, because the Judiciar 6-inch temper mortise aura meant if anyone charged a Leviathan Dreadnought, I made them fight last and then kill them with a Leviathan Dreadnought. So I actually haven't run my super heavy tank in like 18 months, my Leviathan Dreadnought in like 3 years almost, because it was right at the beginning of 9th. But it's more like the principle of like, I liked having those options. No one was winning tournaments running Leviathan Dreadnoughts. Like, I never went to a tournament in 9th edition where someone won the tournament running a Leviathan Dreadnought. I never went to a tournament in 9th edition where someone was running a super heavy tank. So putting those things into Legends on the premise of balance is or presence of like making more room in the range, it didn't matter, because those things were like, most people, like if you took a super heavy tank to a tournament, you weren't expecting to win the tournament. You were going to have fun. Probably same as you took a Leviathan Dreadnought to a tournament. You're probably not expecting to win the tournament. You're expecting to go there and have fun. I would argue that I'm a whale as well, Valderin. Like, like sometimes if you, I mean, like, how much would you have to spend a year on Games Workshop to be a whale? Like, I was gonna say, like, there's different definitions of whales, but like, I'm sure if I went back to Element Games over the last couple of years, probably spend somewhere between 250 and 500 every year. I mean, but that's when you're a happy customer. Obviously, if you're an unhappy customer, you don't spend as much, right? So I was going to say, I buy every big release. Those big release boxes are usually 100. I mean, if we just go in the last year, so I've bought, let me think what I bought. I've bought Leviathan, I've bought Strike Force Augustus, I've bought the Boarding Actions Terrain, I bought like a Gladiator Lancer. I mean, if you want to include the Forge World stuff, it was like a Terrax, a Vindicator Laser Destroyer, an Ironclad. I bought 2 boxes of Tempest Scions to convert them into Voidsman at Arms. I bought Dante. I bought more Sanguinary Guard, and I bought more Death Company ×2. I bought that limited edition Primaris Champion. Like, we could just go on and on and on. There's, like, I'm definitely a whale. I feel like that's probably $500 in the last year. $500 isn't a whale. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I feel like I'm a whale. Maybe I'm, Stellar's bought the Lion. Yeah, I mean, I think probably most people that are here in chat are probably, maybe they didn't spend as much as me, but they're probably, you know, like loyal customers that buy a lot of the releases. You don't need to remove the old models. If anything, that's just, I don't know. I don't know. I've got nothing else positive to say about it. I keep feeling like I end my live streams with nothing else positive to say. The Terex drill was so sick. Brian, I even put transfers on the bottom of my Terex drill. That's how serious I was. I flipped it all the way over and put transfers on the fucking bottom of it. Because I really wanted that Terex drill to be like one of the coolest models that I'd ever done. And now it's literally going to sit in a drawer and never, ever get played again. I'm so angry about it. I don't know how else to say about it. Like, I'm just so angry. Like, what a waste of my time. Like, what a waste of my time. Anyway, what we can do is you can turn up on Wednesday night. I think I'm playing Colin. I think Colin was doing really bad with Death Guard, and I think he's gone to all vehicle. Like, Colin has told me he's got a disgusting list, so I think probably that means it's all vehicle Death Guard, plus probably some Demons of Chaos. Yes, so I think we're probably going to have that on Wednesday night. If you didn't hit like yet on this stream, hit like even if you're annoyed with my ranting, I get it. I'll be here on Wednesday night. I was going to say, I'm trying out the Ballistus Dreadnought for the first time on Wednesday night, so you can see that, see if it's worth it. I feel like it's not going to be as good as the Lancer, and probably you should just buy a Lancer. I'm probably going to buy a second Lancer. Yeah. I appreciate the support, guys. Sorry if I know I've been negative the last couple of times. I'm gonna make a video on what to buy as we move forward and we focus fully on Primaris. Things are going to get better for Blood Angels. Yes, you're right, David. They literally can't get any worse. Because infantry are arguably the big core of Blood Angels. And I feel like infantry are just not the thing to bring. Like, it's almost like that old proverb, you know, like you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. It's almost like you don't bring infantry to tank fight, you know? Like, and somebody said to me a couple of weeks ago, they said, but you know, John, don't compare knights to everything. Miles, who was in the chat earlier, Miles is a knight player who comes on my stream. Miles was at a tournament just like last week, and a third of all players at the tournament were knights. Literally a third, 1 out of every 3. So like you can't ignore the fact that, like, you know, knights have a 58% win rate. People see that. They see in the meta watch, they see that towering is super strong. So lots of people have knights. I honestly thought to myself that I might include some knights in my Blood Angels list going. So I might have like 8 tanks, 1 squad of infantry or something, and then some knights. Yeah. But the main thing, the main positive thing, I think, is that we aren't getting our codex this year. And I think any of the codexes that come out this year are probably going to be like... Remember Blood Angels codex came out super early in 9th edition? And then we had a long period of time where it was just like a very average codex. Whereas, like, I think you want your codex once they've ironed out a lot of these kinks about a year down the line. And I think that's what's going to happen. All right, leave a like. I'll catch you guys Wednesday night. And then I will make that video on the best Primaris units to buy in the near future. Yeah. So because I'm gonna need to add some Primaris stuff to bump out my forces, because a lot of the firstborn options that we have are, you know, they're not really viable anymore. Yeah. So I'll make the video on Primaris. I think my biggest hope is that Dreadnoughts either come down in cost or armor goes up in cost, and then somehow infantry become a bit more relevant. Because I think at the moment there's a bit of a disparity there. I don't know how to fix it. I mean, I didn't make the problem. But I guess they need to fix that sooner, hopefully, rather than later. And yeah, maybe having our codex not on that like roadmap is a good thing, because it means when our codex comes out, maybe things can be a bit more fixed. Alright, enjoy your evening, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you in the very near future. Nice to see you all in chat as well, and thanks to everyone that supported, and thanks to the new member as well tonight. I do really appreciate it. Cool. Have a nice Sunday. Don't work too hard tomorrow at work. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.